I'm French, I live in Paris, and today I'm taking you on a little food tour where we're gonna try 15 of my favorite French foods. And we're starting our day at a cafe where we're about to eat the most Parisian breakfast possible. In front of me, I obviously have a croissant. This is maybe the official breakfast of Paris cafes, and they get their croissants every morning from local bakeries, so you know it's super fresh and super buttery. Like seriously, look at this croissant pool. It looks so beautiful. Bobby on his side has ordered tortillas, which is just a fresh baguette bread that's served with salty butter and jam. And to eat it the French way, you're supposed to first spread the butter and then add jam on top of it. Seriously, just go ahead and try that. It's so delicious.
And while you can find this at every cafe, you can't find an enormous coffee like this.
Usually in Paris cafes, you only have the tiny espressos, which I'm not a fan of. And here, their coffee is not only massive, but it's also delicious because they roast their own beans, which is why this is one of my favorite cafes in Paris. Also, look at how cute this coffee shop is. It's right in the middle of our neighborhood of Batignolles, which is a very nice local area. And I like that they have a beautiful outdoor terrace with the typical Parisian cafe chairs, which makes for the perfect atmosphere to start our day. So today, we're not only gonna try 15 delicious different French foods, but we're also gonna explore the most iconic types of French restaurants that you can find in Paris. So after starting our day at a cafe, I'm gonna meet with Théo at this super colorful brasserie for lunch. A brasserie is where you go if you want a quick traditional French meal in a lively atmosphere. And by quick, I mean quick for France because you will never be in and out of a restaurant in less than an hour here. At this restaurant, they have a pretty small menu with nice classics at very good prices. And everything looked so good, so it was hard to make a choice. And I'm really excited to show you what their special is, but our starters have already arrived, and in front of us we have a dish I've kind of been obsessed with at the moment, which is leeks with vinaigrette. So this is an unknown classic of French food, and it's just that, it's leeks cooked with a delicious vinaigrette sauce, and it's super fresh and really delicious. Also, look at how cute those plates are.
J'aime trop ces petites assiettes, ça fait très dimanche chez mamie quoi. Oui, tu vois.
Alright, for a second starter, Théo ordered snails. And to be honest, he's the first French person I've ever seen order them. Like, I usually never have snails unless my American friends are visiting. So I was pretty curious to know what the backstory was.
I tried it in a restaurant like maybe a few months ago for the first time. I wanted to make a video like trying the snails for the first time, and I loved it. When I go to a restaurant in Paris, usually it's the starter I take, the taste of the sauce with the butter, the parsley. It's just so good.
It is so funny to me because, you know, that's something you had to try for a video, but usually you will not have eaten that on your own, right?
I discovered it for YouTube for the videos, and then I'm taking it like on a casual
I love that, and now you love it. Let's try it.
The sauce is good, but the texture is a bit squishy. So it's good only because I'm with you too. Otherwise, I will not eat that on my own.
So, Théo, I feel we have a tradition which is eating tartare together. Every time we meet, we eat tartare. So I'm excited to try a new one today because I think it's a good tradition and we should keep doing that. Oh, I really like this one as well. What I feel about this one, the texture is like way more soft. Everything is mixed together, which is, I feel, the classic brasserie tartare in France. So I really like it. It's a good classic tartare. Our next French dish is truly one of my favorites. I used to have that at Sunday lunch all the time when I was a kid. It's called paupiette de veau, and it's basically a big meatball of veal that's wrapped around a delicious stuffing. It is actually pretty hard to make from scratch, so I don't eat that all the time, and it is served with a beautiful ratatouille. So just a side note, this is what real ratatouille looks like. In the movie Ratatouille, it actually looks like this, and this is a different dish that's not ratatouille, it's called thon. So we're eating the real deal right now. Anyways, this is such a delicious dish, and you don't always find that on the menu, so if you ever find it, go ahead and order it. It's just so good. Alright, now it's dessert time, and get ready to have your mind blown. So we started nicely with a flan, which is always delicious and a really good classic. But after this, we had one of Théo's favorites, which is a Paris-Brest cake. And you can already see it, this one looks like a work of art. So a Paris-Brest is made with choux pastry, vanilla pastry cream, and then topped with praliné, which, if you don't know about it, is the best thing ever. It's basically a sweet roasted hazelnut cream, and it's just incredibly good. Obviously, we absolutely destroyed that cake, and we spent the rest of the lunch talking and drinking coffee. Alright, so after this, I backed back home, and And obviously I had to stop to a bakery to get Goute. And let me tell you, if you're coming to Paris, you really want to make sure you do your research to find great restaurants like the one I'm showing in this video. And for that, you're gonna need to have data on your phone, and I recommend you get an eSIM plan with Airalo. Airalo is the sponsor of today's video, and they provide instant and affordable data plan through eSIMs in more than 200 countries and regions around the world. An eSIM is a 100% digital solution, which means you don't have to get a physical SIM card in France. You can just install your eSIM before your trip and activate it when you land to have data right away, which is so much easier. I've been personally using them for quite a while, and they are my favorite travel hack to have data on my phone and avoid expensive roaming fees. So how it works is, instead of having to plan all my trip in advance, I just use the data on my phone to do a bit of last-minute research and stay spontaneous. In Paris in particular, you're really gonna need it. Restaurants near the main attractions tend to be so bad and overpriced, and you'll want to be online to make sure you know where to go to get great French food. They have a lot of great options for France and Europe too, and I recommend you get one by downloading the Airalo app using the link in the description. You can also use my code LUCIL3 for $3 off your next eSIM. So Goute is a 4 p.m. snack in France. It's usually for kids, but as an adult, I love eating Goute. And here I went to Copains, which is a bakery in my neighborhood, and everything looked so good, so it was really hard to choose. And here I have a few beautiful pastries. Our first food is brioche. Brioche is also a staple of Goute, and this one is a bit special because it has been baked with orange flour, so it has a really delicious taste. Yum. I love the consistency. It's super moist and super sweet. Our next pastry is babka, and babka is definitely not French, but it is having a moment in Paris. So a babka is a breaded pastry, and this one has been filled with chocolate and hazelnuts. And it really looks beautiful. Wow, this is next level, especially having eaten the praliné before, which was the hazelnut paste. This is almost like that, but with also chocolate, so it's perfect. So there's something else that seems to be having a moment in Paris is pistachio. Seriously, it feels every bakery is coming up with a pistachio pastry, and I'm here for it. And this has to be my favorite pastry at this bakery. It is a pretty insane pastry. It is absolutely massive, and as you can see, there's a ton of pistachio around the pastry. But if you cut into it, there's also pistachio cream in it. Wow, look at this. So yes, there's a ton of pistachio cream. Yum. So I have to admit, I've had this one many times, but I had to show it to you, okay? This is just my favorite pastry at the moment. And for dinner, we're going to one of my favorite bistros at the moment. Bistros, or bistro in French, are more laid-back, casual restaurants, and they serve home-cooked, traditional food, and they have a really cozy and homey atmosphere that I love. Here, we're starting our meal with œufs cocottes, which are eggs that are topped with herbs and cream and cooked in a small dish in the oven. It is really a simple dish. I've made that at home so many times, but it is delicious. Then we're taking things up a notch with their homemade pâté. Pâté is a meat-based spread that you usually eat with bread, and here they served it with a really big jar of homemade pickles called cornichons. And I'm really excited to show you our mains because we're in for a treat. So I grew up in Toulouse in the south of France, and this restaurant has all my favorite foods from my region. And Bobby ordered his favorite and one of the most famous dishes from my region, which is duck confit. Homemade duck confit like this one is on a whole other level. It takes a really long time to make, with the duck legs being cured in salt and herbs for a whole night, and then slow cooked in duck fat for a few hours. It is super tender, really tasty, and the meat falls right off the bone.
So good.
Also, the potatoes are cooked in duck fat too, which is just the best thing ever. On my side, I got a really nice comfort food that comes from this region, which, like every region of France, is known for its cheese. This is important because what you see here is not only mashed potatoes, it's aligot, which is mashed potatoes mixed with cheese, cream, and herbs, which creates this super satisfying, stretchy texture.
This is so good. Cheesy puree is just the best.
And this is served with my hometown's greatest invention, saucisse de Toulouse. Don't ask me why, but this is just the best sausage. It's super simple and made only with pork meat, salt and pepper, and it has a very artisanal and earthy feel to it. Anyways, we're gonna take the time to enjoy all of this delicious food, and if you're still here, I think you'll enjoy one of the videos you see on screen right now. So go watch them, and I'll see you there.